Bonjour tout le monde. Part 3 of the tutorial on building the Visual API. We're going to go over how to select images and how to name the images. Naming the images is very important because it's a code that tells Brobot how to build your state structure and how to do image analysis. We're going to see that in detail in this video, so let's jump right in. I've taken, I don't know, maybe 50 or so screenshots from the collection of, I think it was 600 initially. Let's just start with the first screen and see what's here. I want to set up a state that will tell me that I am in the target application. So I want something to tell me that we're here in Black Desert, that we're in the game. And there's this image right here that should always be there when we're in the game. So I'm just going to capture that. And I hit Command-C. I'm on the Mac now. That's why I'm in a different setting. You can do this on a PC. You can do it on a Mac. You can do it on Linux. You just need to use a image editing program. I'm using Preview. It's very well suited for this because you can just copy this. I just hit Command-C and Command-N to create a new file, and there it is. And I can save it. What I want to do is I want to save it with the name of the state. So I'm going to call the state BDO, hit a dash, and then you write in the name of the image. So I'll just write title. And after you write the state and you write the name of the image, you can add attributes. The most basic one is that you want this image to appear on a certain screenshot, or as I refer to it in a lot of the code, as on a certain page. And the page that I want this to appear on is actually every page. So the underscore says that we want to give it the attribute appears, and if we don't write a page number in there, it will assume that this image needs to be found on every single page. So I'll just save that. The other thing that I want to find here is I have this image of a minimap. And the minimap doesn't have static images. Or it has this little image here that stays the same and is in the same location, but everything else changes. It's very difficult to define a region like this in a real run if you don't have static fixed location images. But when you do it like this with the state structure builder, it's simple because you just take this image here and you save it as a, so I want to give it a state, let's say minimap. That's the state. And I want to call it map region. And I'm going to give it the attribute of R. R stands for region. So what this does is it looks for this image, and when it finds a match, it will define a state region and write a state region into the state structure instead of writing the image as a state image object. The other one that I just defined, this title image, that will be written as a state image object. This one will be written, if the image is found, as a state region. And I'm going to specify the page because I don't want it to look on every single page. I just want it to look on this page. That's where this image appears exactly the way it is. This is page 15, screen 15, okay? And let's try the next page. Okay, so on screen 24, when you're using a program like Preview to capture images, you don't have to worry about the size, the actual size. So you could shrink it like this and you could capture the image. It would still be the same as the image in your target environment because this captures the image in the size that it's saved in file. So if you were using something like the Seculi IDE, you would need to make sure that the size of the image on your screen is the same size of the image in your target environment. And that means you wouldn't be able to resize it. This is the easiest way to do it when you're using the state image builder, is just to use an application like Preview, and it doesn't matter what the size of the image is. You just cut it out and you save it and it works. So what I want here is I want to define this as a state. Everything that's in here is going to be a state. And I need a few different images. I'm going to take this here to be the title image. And I'm going to give the state the name Black Spirits Adventure. And this will just be the title image. And I want this to appear, here on page 24. But actually, I'm going to give it a different attribute. I'm not going to give it the appears attribute. I'm going to give it the attribute G. And what G stands for is group define. So in order to define the search region for all of the images in this state, I'm going to define a few different images. I'll take maybe this one here. I'll take this X in the corner. I'll take this one here, and maybe I'll need this acquire button, so I'll take that too. And I will have, all of these images will have this underscore G24, which means they will all be part of a group define operation on page 24. So on this screenshot, on this page, Brobot will search for all of these images, and then it will take the union of all of their matches. And the union of all of their matches will give it a region, and that region will then be saved to the search region for each of those images. It's going to look like this. You have this one image here, you're going to have the image here, an image here, and an image here. It will find it here. These will be the boundaries of that region, right? Over here and over here. So it'll basically be this entire box. And then that will be the search region for all of the images in that group. So I'll do that. And then I want this image here. I'll call it close, and I will give it the group define on page 24, and I'm also going to give it an additional tag, and it's the tilde. And this tilde, what it does is, this means that clicking on this button, or clicking on this image, when found, should transition to a different state, and it should transition to the state that's given here. Now, this is not a specific state, this is a dynamic state. And you can learn more about dynamic states in the documentation. If you go to the documentation on GitHub, go to the section on hidden states. What this does is, when you specify a transition with the tilde and close, it means that whatever state was there before Black Spirits Adventure was open, so anything that was on the screen that was then hidden by Black Spirits Adventure when it was opened up, will be active again when you close Black Spirits Adventure. Okay, so I'll save that. And I also need this image. Dice, and it gets the group define on page 24, and I also will take this acquire button, which also will get a group define on page 24. Define on 24. Okay. And I want to take this image too, because this image opens up this state. And I'll give it a, actually I don't like that. Let me give it a different, let me make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, still don't like that. So remember I said it doesn't matter what the size is here. You can increase the size in order to capture something a bit better. it'll still be the same size as in your environment. So that's the image that I want. And the name I want to give that, I want to put it in a different state. And I'll just give it a state bottom right menu. And we'll call this die. And this will get a transition to Black Spirits Adventure. I don't need to write the whole name Black Spirits Adventure. I can write part of the name as long as that is a unique identifier for the state. Okay, that looks good. I want to capture this box, this region right here. And I want to capture this region because we're going to need to find out what letters appear here. And they're always going to appear in this box. So what we can do is we can take this box and we can define a region. But I'm not going to do the same thing with the mini-map. With this, I'm going to define the search region of all of the images in this same state. In the end, there won't be a state image object with this image, there won't be a state region with this image, but the region defined by this image's match will be transferred to the search region of all of the images inside of the state. So images such as W and D, which I'm going to cut out right now. So I'll call this, I'll call this state catch fish, and this image will be, it doesn't really matter because it's just going to transfer it. Let's just call it the letter region. And it gets the attribute T, and it gets the attribute T on this page, which is page 76. Okay. And then I also want to get, I also want the W. Catch fish region, catch fish state, image is called W, and I want it to appear here. I want to find it here on screen 76, on page 76, and I want to add a couple more attributes. I want this to be a variable location image. That means that this image can be found in different locations. It won't always appear in the same location. And I also want to give it the M tag. The M tag stands for multiple matches. And that means that it can appear multiple times on a page, but it doesn't have to. The standard is if you don't give it the M tag, then it should appear only one time. When Brobot does the image analysis, if an image should only appear once and it appears multiple times, that tells you that there's a problem. Either the image is not cut correctly, so it's a poor image for what you want, and you should maybe get a different image or change your strategy, or it tells you that this is not unique to your state. So something like that close button that we found before, it's possible that that could appear multiple times on the same page because there could be multiple dialog boxes open. And that doesn't mean that that's a poor image. It just means that that is a shared image. When it writes the Java code for that state image object, it will say that it is a shared image if it has seen it appear multiple times in a page. But this image is okay. We don't want to have a warning if it appears multiple times. And we want to do the same thing for this one here. This goes into the state catch fish. It's called D. It has to appear on page 76. And it is variable location, and it can appear multiple times. Okay. So now let's check another, let's see. The W, we've already seen it once, so we don't need to capture it again. But we want to make sure that it also appears on this page, 179. And right now we have it only appearing on page 76. To make sure to also give it the attribute appear on page 179, we just put a comma after the 76 and put 179. And now it says it should appear on page 76 and page 179. I'll finish the rest of the images, and then we'll check out the image analysis and show you how Brobot will build the state structure for us. I think we're all experts now on selecting and naming images. You probably know more than me. Well, maybe not. But if you need more information, go to the documentation on GitHub. There's plenty of information there. It's all detailed, all of the different tags and all the different attributes that you can add to your file names. They're all there. And the next part that we're going to do, part 4, is all about image analysis. Very important for building an effective state structure. Oh, tables. It's a dangerous technology, especially table legs. Wherever you are, in the university, in a home office, be careful out there.